Have you ever tried to attach two wires together? You do your best. You try to solder it. I'm not good at soldering. It never holds, but then it comes apart. Well, I've discovered a way to do it for someone who isn't used to soldering, and I want to share that with you. This little project back here behind you, I had to do that with it on these wires. And you can see them right there, and I want to show you how I do that. So let's walk over here and get right at it. First thing that I try to start with is a nice clean piece of wire. So we cut that off there, and we cut it off here. You might come into a situation where you don't have a lot of room to cut wires, so you just do your best there. And what I try to do is cut about that much off right there and expose the wire. Then I do the same on the other side. And I take my fingers and I twist that just a little bit so that they don't come unraveled. Now I want to show you what I use to splice those together with. I found these on Amazon and I ordered them not knowing for sure what they are and how to use them, but it said solder seal wire connectors. And what you get with that is these little things right here. I hope that focuses in on you. Those little things there, there's 4 different sizes, and that's what you come up with. The first thing I do, because these are designed to seal, I still go ahead and get me some of this plastic or whatever it's called. It's heat shrink tubing, and I'll cut me a piece off long enough and big enough to fit over what I am putting in. And this blue one is a really common one, and this fits right over that blue. Now that's a little tight. Let's get another one. I usually try to keep several different sizes on hand. Let's see how this one looks. Oh, that's much better. That goes right on there. So set that to the side, and usually the ends of these wires are attached to something else, so you got to slip this in there before you ever start. Now, the trick of this is to get these exactly in the center where you see this little solder bead right there. That's a piece of solder. So I try to slip my 2 ends in so it's right there. And then what I do is I use a propane torch, and I know this is kind of an overkill, and all you have to do, I use this propane torch, and all you have to do is just heat that up. You can see that solder already starting to liquefy. And see, these actually serve as your shrink tubing too. This is a little bit more heat than what a person really needs. Now we'll let that cool for a minute. And all I do is I slip the tubing right over. And again, I've always just used this little propane torch. It's way more than you need. It's got way more heat than that's necessary. And then I just heat that tubing up, starting from the center, working out. And you can see how that shrinks right up over the, right there. Here again is the only three things that I use, along with a little dielectric grease and then heat. Now if you put that heat and that flame somewhere where you got flammable materials, don't do it. Use a heat gun. Have a heat gun over there in the shelf that if I ever get to a position where there could be flammables, I don't use open flame. That wouldn't be good. And don't ask me how I know that. But this is what I do. If you have comments, or if you would, I'd love to hear how you splice wires together. I've never really been good with a soldering iron, and these things really has made it easier for me to do splicing. Obviously, if you need to attach this to something stationary where you can't use this, you have to solder. But I've never been really good at that. So I've really have come to depend on these in this process. I'd love to hear how you do it. If you like my content, I would encourage you to subscribe to it. I show little tricks and do all kinds of repairs in my shop. If you like videos like this, I would suggest that you watch this one right here. Can it be fixed? Sure it can. Can you fix it? You're darn right you can. Until the next one.